Having a cookout. I need you to turn this all the way up because it's about to go live. Woo! This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and they sure can't take it away. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and they sure can't take it away. I know you see the vibes, I know you see the light and how it shines. I'm a child of God, why you look surprised? I'm super fly, I won't apologize. Cause I won't give favor, I got flavor. Salt of the earth, I can't lose my savor. Jesus Christ, yeah, that's my savior. Eyes on the cross, I don't see no hate. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Yeah, yeah. I once was lost, but now I'm found. And I won't go. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, I didn't give it, and they sure can't take it away. Sure can't take it away. No, no. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, I didn't give it, and they sure can't take it away. Sure can't take it away. No, no. I faced a lot of things in my lifetime, but God stepped in at the right time. Picked me up when I was down. Nothing can stop me now. Never see the righteous forsaken. Everything that I suffered has taught me patience. All my help, it comes from you. You're the only one that pulled me through. So refreshed, I've been renewed. Feel like I just can't lose. Joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and they sure can't take it away. This joy that I have, yeah, yeah. The world didn't give it to me, I didn't give it to me. Sure can't take it away. Sure can't take it away. No, no. This what I need y'all to do for me. I need you to forget about your problems, grab your loved one by the hand, and take them to the dance floor, cause it's about to go down. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and they sure can't take it away. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and they sure can't take it away. This joy, woo, this joy, this joy, this joy, this joy.
What's up, everybody? What's up? This joy that I have, the world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. So thank you so much, Torrance Rudd, for that awesome song. My name is Gregory Bloomfield. I'm so glad that you're here with us. This is episode number 117 of the Motivation Moments podcast. Hey, man, like, share, and subscribe. You're probably wondering, Gregory, where are you today? Well, I am doing the podcast here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Shout out to the city of Oklahoma. I'm here on a work assignment, but you know, the work of the gospel does not stop. So I am here in Oklahoma, looking forward to coming back to Massachusetts, which is home for me. So pray for my traveling mercies. I thank God that I have a job. Hallelujah. So I'm not going to complain about the traveling, because traveling to find work is worse than traveling for work. Hallelujah. So listen, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to have joy in my heart and my spirit, because it could have been worse. I remember when I wasn't working. Now that I'm working and I'm able to do my passion, this is just a blessing. Speaking of a blessing, let me tell you a little bit about last episode on Sunday. If you enjoyed the episode with Corey Hughes, let me know in the comments. It was a great episode. And what made it great? Yes, what made it great was my wife, Zenja. She hosted it. It was her first time hosting a podcast. She's been a guest many times on here. And yes, I was just talking about you. And hey, I want to come home and be happy. So, yes, I'm going to say that. So, I want to publicly say thank you to my beautiful wife, Zenja, for hosting episode 116 and doing such an excellent job. In fact, my producer said, hey, Greg, maybe you should have her on more. So, if you want to see more of Zenja hosting and give me a break, then you know what? Let me know in the comments when you can. Also, I want to say the reason why I wasn't in the podcast is because my son was at his football banquet. My son is a senior. His name is Thaddeus, and I am extremely proud of that young man. On Sunday, we'll show some pictures of the awards and some pictures with us together, Lord, that I was so happy that he won an award, basically being one of the best football players in terms of skill, integrity, commitment to team, and just his maturation as a young man. So shout out to Thaddeus Bloomfield. He has my namesake, and we, his sister, my wife, his mom, everybody, his grandmother, we're all super proud of him, and we're praising God for the man that you're becoming. It's Founders Day for everybody who is a Zeta. Shout out to you, everybody from the Divine Nine. Shout out, but Zeta's my favorite. So to all the Zetas out there, put something that's blue and white. Happy Founders Day for you. And also thank you to everyone who's ordered a copy of the 522 Man. You can get your copies. There's a QR code with a flyer that I was distributed on social media. If you follow me on Facebook, you follow me on Instagram, you can get a copy of that. If you don't have that flyer, you can go to sisterpamelapublishing.com and order your copy of the book. And you don't want to miss a week from today, because we're going to have a very special announcement and motivational teaching this coming Thursday. We're going to have our show on Sunday, as we always do, but you don't want to miss this coming Sunday, and you don't want to miss this coming Thursday. It's going to be awesome. You'll be so glad that you tuned in. We have a major announcement as we're expanding our ministry. Today, I want to continue on the theme of finding your purpose and getting the bag. And I want to introduce to you my guest, of whom this is his first time being on the podcast. And I actually met him through Facebook. His name is Don Gleason, and he got a whole bunch of friends too. Don Gleason, he is a career transitions coach and a business coach. And he is based out of San Antonio, Texas. He leverages his passion to help people find the careers that energize them in life that fulfills them. And I think this is really important, because many people are in the place where they feel stuck, where they feel, I'm at a dead-end job. I want to work for myself, or I want to advance in my career, but I want to merge my passion with my job and my income. And that's the first step for 2025, is like, do you like what you do? What are you passionate about? Well, this is a man that can help you. He knew early in his life what his passion is: to clean America's waters and then lead teams to new heights. After 42 years in military and corporate leadership positions, he now helps others find their passions, and as many know, the destination, but not the path. He is a John Maxwell speaker. He's a very motivational person. He's a sought-after business coach and podcast guest. And I am so happy that I have him with us today on the Motivation Moments podcast. And I even myself am expanding my reach of getting different guests, different walks of life in different areas, and broadening my horizons so that way this podcast can bless everybody. So I'm so happy to have Don Gleason as our guest for the Motivation Moments podcast. I'm not going to say Mr. Gleason because the last time you checked me. So, Don, how are you? Welcome to the Motivation Moments podcast. Oh, you're on mute, sir. Oh, but he can dance too. Did I say that in the bio? He can dance.
Yeah, so I was thinking on the background there. I was like, oh, yeah, I like the sound. Yeah, this is a good song. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, shout out to
good.
Torrance Rudd. He was an amazing guest, and we decided to use that as the theme song for the podcast.
Yeah, I love it. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, Gregory, and to talk about one of my favorite subjects, purpose.
Yes,
sir.
So
we're going to dig in. This is going to be fun.
Yes, it is. I'm looking forward to it. Shout out to everyone on Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram. I see Julian Colbrand is on Instagram today. She's going to be our guest on Sunday, so looking forward to that as well. But listen, a lot of people may not know who you are. Mm-hmm. I know that you served in the military for many years. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, thank you for your service. But talk to me about your time in the military. Tell the audience, this is your first time, who exactly you are.
Yeah, I'm it's going to fit right along with purpose. It's always an interesting story, and I keep maturing this story. And I really encourage people to think about their story and where it comes from and what's happened in their life. You know, I joined the military because it was the recession of 1982. The last thing at the time I really wanted to do was to join the military, but there was no jobs. Only about 17% of my graduating class at college of civil and environmental engineers had a job after 4 months.
Okay.
So I took the opportunity to interview with the Air Force because, I was listening to a podcast today with the Military Officers Association of America, MOA. And he said, you got to get a lot of experience interviewing. So that's what I was doing back then. I was getting experience interviewing. And it came out that I had 454 letters from companies on the 5th of May, my graduation date, that said they weren't hiring. 454.
That's rejection.
A huge stack. Yeah. And think about how many that didn't reply and how many letters my wife of just 3 months 2 months had done personally typing because there was no computers back then. And I joined the service to get some experience. I said 4 years. I didn't know my values back then. I didn't know what kind of culture, what kind of leader I wanted to work for. We'll get into those things. But what I knew was I wanted to work in the environmental arena. Ever since the 5th grade, the first Earth Day in 1970, I wanted to work in the environmental arena. And that's why I got a degree in civil and environmental engineering. I did know that I was really good at math. I was really good at science. I hated English. Did social studies to do what I needed to do to graduate. Same with English. But I didn't do music, but I played football and I played basketball. I walked on at the University of Wisconsin to play football. Nice. Walked off after I got an F on my third economics test and had to focus on school, and I never went back.
What position did you play in football?
Offensive tackle.
Oh, wow.
And
my son is exactly, he wants to go into civil engineering, and he's a football player. Yeah. He's a defensive, he's a offensive line. Yeah. He is a linebacker. I'm sorry. He's a linebacker.
Linebacker. Yeah. I always wanted to be, remember Mark Gastineau with the New York Jets?
Yes.
Yeah. And just broad shoulders, huge chest, very thin waist. He was not fat. He was muscle. And that's the kind of guy I wanted to be. So when the coach told me, he said, I want you to be 270 by spring ball, my freshman year. And I was only about 210. 205. I was like, how in the world am I going to do this? And it got taken care of for me because I walked off the team to focus on studies.
Yeah.
And there was days I wish I went back. But anyway, so I joined the Air Force, and boy, oh boy, the culture of the Air Force just resonated with me. The values, the performance. I just grew so much. I couldn't have ever imagined myself in college even doing a podcast, speaking on stages, right? In fact, my first speech at officer training school was about how to give peace speeches. It was about the techniques and the tricks and those kind of things that you had to do. And I remember one time, I'm offline here a little bit. I was doing a speech about 3 years ago for a small college graduation here in town, vocational college. And I got up and I practiced it, and all of a sudden I drew a blank. Well, I had my notes on the podium, and I had a little bottle of water there, and it was kind of a trick, right? All of a sudden, I kind of said I had to clear my throat, get a drink. I walked back, grabbed my water, looked down at my notes, remembered what I was going to say, and walked back out in front of the stage, because I don't like to be in front of a podium. Behind a podium, I like to be out to the audience. And I made that comment later, and they said, just look natural, right? So you just learn all these different things. So anyway, I have been growing now for 42 years into the person I am today. I got to say, in senior year of high school, I met this young lady who actually we sat next to each other in 5th grade. Mm-hmm. Dating in senior year, took her to homecoming, and then what do they call it? Twerp, Sadie Hawkins, depending where you're from, and then prom. And then we dated for 5 years, got married my senior year of college, and we've been married for 42 years. We have 3 great kids, all millennials in their 30s, and 4 grandkids. Love spending time with them, and life is just great.
I can see that, and congratulations on 42 years and serving in the military. And as it's already been said, thank you again for your service. I'm always anybody who serves in the military, whatever branch it may be. I always say thank you for serving this nation. I really take that to heart.
We always struggle with what to say, right? We say, well, thank you. And we say that we mean it, right? Because you support us, you give us the things, the salary, the resources, all those things to be able to do the job. Right. And since Vietnam, around how we support our military. So I'm wearing red tonight. It stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. And the military, they do it on Friday, but tonight being Thursday night, I figured I would wear it because we need to think about all the men and women in the military who are deployed around the world. Whether assigned in Japan or Korea or Germany or England, Italy, and deployed forward into different places. But I want to expand that for a second to emergency responders, right? Yeah. Think about all the people in LA. We've got people from Texas, Florida, Canada, Mexico, all these people into LA now to help with these wildfires. Yeah. So just remember all of them as well. Keep them in their prayers.
Yeah. So. And I reiterate that for everyone who's watching from California, particularly in the Los Angeles area, we are praying for you, and hopefully this show can be a sense of motivation and a escape from the horrible things that you're experiencing at this time. So
it takes a lot of purpose to be out there in the midst of those fires, in the midst of that heat, in the midst of hours and hours and hours of just craziness. You've got to have a passion for that. And I think if you didn't, you would quickly lose heart and not be able to stay on that fire line for the hours that they do. Yeah. So I really, really appreciate it. And we don't give them as much money as they deserve for the life-saving and the property-saving efforts that they do. So
those people and people in the military, people in emergency service, and I would also say educators, we need to definitely increase their salaries and benefits. They should lack of nothing once they've served in all those different areas. In terms of purpose, now you graduated college, obviously, and you started to work in your career, but you've worked in the military. Explain to me the transition of how you found your purpose in doing what you're doing now. So what did that look like for you? And then obviously you have this wonderful company, which I want you to share and tell us a little bit about. And then we'll talk about how someone who may be who is in your shoes can make that jump from finding their purpose in their career and in their life. So let's talk about you. How did you find your purpose, and what did you do to step out on faith to do what you were called to do?
Here's an important item. Sometimes we think that you have one purpose in life and you got to find it and then stay with it forever. And I think that's totally wrong. You're going to, like me, I had a purpose early on to clean America's waters. And I got in and I did that for about 10 years. And as I was doing that, I started moving up in promotion to captain and then to major. And I started leading people and leading teams. And I really fell into leadership. I really enjoyed that. You know, when I was retiring in 2009, after 27 years, I sat down one night and I said, do I really want to continue supervising people? Because it takes work and it's always extra hours, right? It's not that productive time that you get paid for. It's almost that extra time that you have to do to be in that role to get the bigger salary. So I decided I did because I really enjoy working with people. So as I developed that through the second part of my career, I really started learning more and more about leadership, how to motivate people, how to inspire people, how to communicate with people, how to cast the vision, right? Doing all those leadership things. And I really enjoyed it. I went to several military schools, and the chief of staff of the Air Force and others always had these reading lists for different books that they thought we should read. And a lot of them were war-oriented or operations-oriented. Maybe it was a non-combatant evacuation or humanitarian, but the military was employed. I always enjoyed it from the leadership perspective, thinking about how General Eisenhower went out in the field and talked to those people from the States the day before D-Day, when he knew 80% of them would not be alive the next day.
Wow. Yeah.
That takes leadership. To continue to be encouraging and motivating and not let that weight of that moment weigh him down. So I developed into that. And as I was leading my team, different people kept coming to me as a commander and asking for my endorsement for them to be going to officer training school or get an ROTC scholarship or whatever. And I would evaluate them of, do I want them to be a fellow officer like I am, right? I started holding that standard. And I was batted 1,000, right? And I don't remember the number, but 15 out of 15 or whatever the number was of people that came to me. We got them into ROTC or officer training, and they got their commission. So it was really neat to help develop people. And as I just continued to do that, I started helping people with their resume because I was interviewing for jobs and I had my resume and all those things. So it was really about helping folks then. So it just fell into it when I was working with Booz Allen Hamilton after my military career. I just kept helping people. And I just found that so many people struggled with that transition out of the service. I was really blessed. I spent, because I never thought I'd go beyond 4 years. And then 8 years, and then 12 years, and then 20 years, right? So I was always preparing to get out. I was reading, I was learning, I was practicing, all these different things. Then all of a sudden, I stayed for 27. But because of all that preparation, and we'll get into this, I really knew what I wanted and what I didn't want. So I agree. Somebody, Yolanda said there's so much joy in helping people, and she's exactly right. He or she, sorry. But so when I saw so many other people struggling, I said, I can help people. There was questions that helped me figure out what I wanted to do. How can I ask them and get them on the right path? And I've helped over 217 people now in the last 6 or so years find the job that they really wanted.
So
Sorry, I'm going to keep adjusting my chair. It's going down.
No, that's okay. No problem. That's why we're live. But it's amazing that you're saying that. So you felt that you had this passion and this calling in your life for leadership and also to, can we say, mentorship and coaching?
Yes.
It was in you all the time. And how it was, what would you say it was? Because sometimes we don't know what's inside of us until we find out what's inside of us.
That's right.
There's no rationale to saying why I like what I like. I just like it, right? Is that what what happened with you. It's like, I don't know why I'm good at this and I like doing this.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important right there. You just nailed it. Is you're going to have to try a bunch of things. And so one of the neat things about the military was they gave us a lot of additional duties. Sometimes we thought the additional duties was really our job because we had so many additional duties. You had the combined federal campaign, and you had the Air Force Assistance Fund, and you had, just those are fundraising pieces, and you had, maybe it was contraband destruction officer, which I had, for the wing. And it's just amazing how many duties are out that way. But if you approach each one as, what can I learn from this? Who can I learn from? What more can I learn about the service, about people, about me? You really start to find out things that that they can expand you and grow personally. And so I think through all of those, I was learning what I liked and what I didn't like. And that's a key part of what I do with people in that purpose and passion, is because a lot of times we're like, well, I don't know what I like to do. Okay, well, let's start on the flip side. Yeah. What do you not want to do, right? What do you not enjoy? Well, I don't enjoy coffee, right? I don't drink coffee. My wife loves coffee. It seems like everybody except my oldest son likes coffee in my family, but my second son. But I don't like coffee. So it's a piece. That's not a job related thing, but it starts down the path of, what do I not enjoy? I don't like, maybe some people don't like supervising people. Some people don't like communicating with people a lot. So once you start figuring that stuff out, it starts to help drive you to what kind of job. Now, the beautiful thing is there's a number of personality assessments you can take. I'm a certified consultant in DISC assessment. So D-I-S-C, dominant, influencer, steady, stable, and compliant. And those things start to pop out of your personality, right? You start understanding them, why I behave the way I do. Up until that point, most of us, we start to judge ourselves. Well, I'm very analytical, and I don't know why I'm so analytical. I think I see all these other people around me who are so personable and so driven, and I'm just driven to be more of a spreadsheet guy. I like the compliance-oriented, rules. Yeah. Well, it's your personality, right? You can adjust your personality in terms of how you behave, but you're still naturally going to be inclining back to that. So the more we can learn about ourselves, the more we can find that passion and purpose. How about you? How did you find it?
I'm listening to you, I'm like, that explains a lot about why I am the way I am. It's like, I'm the type of person, like, obviously, I think I'm a complicated person because I'm very analytical. I love numbers. I love data. Okay. But I like working in isolation. I can supervise people at work. I don't like doing that at work, but when it comes to things that I'm passionate about, I like leading. So for me, I'm one way in my job as an accountant and working for a firm, but I'm another way in church. Like, I love, and we had talked about this offline, I'm very passionate. I'm good at being an accountant, but that's not my passion. My passion is speaking, preaching, writing books, and podcasting. That is what I love. If I could do this and make 6 figures, 7 figures, life would be great. But life is great because I get to do this, even though I'm not making this, but I feel like I'm making impact. My wife and I talk about this a lot, is impact. We feel the impact in doing what we're passionate to do. And for me, that is why, like, my paycheck at my job is needed to pay bills, but also I use it as a funder for my passions. So that's the way I look at work, is that work is to take care of what I need to take care of. I have a wife, I have kids. But I also have this. And that's how I look at work now.
Yeah. I want to celebrate you because I was hearing a podcast earlier this week and they said, it's okay to be stuck. It's not okay to stay there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And they're thinking about it from a imposter syndrome or fear or whatever that's holding us back, right? But it could be exactly what you just kind of related is I'm in a job because I need to pay the bills.
Right.
But is that really what excites you, energizes you, motivates you, inspires you? As you just said, you're good at it, but you really want to speak and write and preach. So you're stepping out and moving toward what you want, right? You're not staying there. You're moving forward what you want.
Yeah.
And there's a gentleman named Jonathan Lee Dumas, JLD, Jonathan Lee Dumas. Yep. He hosts the Entrepreneurs on Fire podcast. I've been listening to it for over a year. He releases several episodes a week, some of them years old, some of them new. He every month has a show talking about what he made the last month. He makes 6 figures every month.
Send him my way, please.
Yeah, he's been doing it about 10 or 12 years. So he's been continuing to grow. He's talking to world famous people. He's got great sponsors, but it's all about that repetition, right? He says, I started at nothing and just moving on. So there's so much potential there if you really know what you want and you drive toward it and you find the experts who can help you do it.
Yeah.
So you could be there.
But the first thing, though, thank you for that. I think the first thing, though, is you got to find your passion and your purpose. Because even if you make 6 figures in something, and that's why a lot of people who are working at corporate America are working even in entrepreneurial spaces, and they're making good money, but they're not fulfilled, right? Oh, look, you might.
There you go.
I was like, I need to schedule a coaching session. All right.
Zena, I would love to. We're going to talk that at the end, but I would love to talk to you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it's like, one of the things is that now at my age, money is not the only motivator.
That's right.
It's not. It's like, I remember when I was younger in my career and I used to work for this investment firm. I'm not going to say the name of it, but at the time, it was the most money I ever made. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, I was miserable. Right. And some people, somebody say this in the chat if you agree with me. It's a job that you hate when Sunday nights you're depressed. When you feel a cold coming on, are you praying that you get sick so you can call in sick?
You don't have to go in. Yeah.
Has anyone ever been there? Like this job, I prayed for strep throat. I prayed for the cold because I just didn't want to go. Making good money, but I hated it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you know what they call that?
What do they call that?
There's actually a name for that now. I just heard it on 60 Minutes 9-10 months ago. The Sunday Scaries. The stress level, and a lot of people in America, the stress level is going up as Sunday progresses. And by 7, 8 o'clock at night, it is almost reaching a peak where they can't go to sleep. They can't think about what they got to do. They're not present anymore with their family, and it's impacting them mentally, mental health wise.
Yeah. And Friday afternoon, you'll feel liberated off the plantation and you're happy until Sunday night happens. Yeah. I've been there.
Yeah. And I think that's the important part is to pay attention to that, right? As I was a second lieutenant, a first lieutenant in the Air Force, I started to they immediately put me in the environmental engineering area, which is where I wanted to be. Right. But they needed me to do some design of some projects. I got to design a project on installing seals on the aircraft nose dock hangars so we would save energy. Didn't enjoy it. I got to design bathroom renovations in base housing. Didn't enjoy it. The one piece I loved about that was I went down to the plumbing shop foreman and I said, "Sir, what model and name of fixtures would you like to see in base housing?" And he looked at me and goes, "Are you kidding me? I've been here 30 years. Nobody's asked me that question." I said, tell me a little bit about it. And he walks me back to his parts room, and he must have 15 different bathroom sink faucets.
Wow.
He says, every project comes with a different bathroom sink faucet, and I have to keep all the parts on hand. So we never know when we go out to the house what we're going to find. So we go out there, we come back, we get the parts, we go back again. This is very inefficient. I'm like, you got to be kidding. So I said, what would you prefer? And he said, this one. So I went back, put it in a contract, put it in the specifications, got put in the contract. The contracting guy says, you can't specify that. And I said, that or equal. And I said, here's what equal means. The parts have to fit that model so that we can get away from 15 different, this is really inefficient. Well, I had a whole bunch of submittals, and they were all different. And I kept taking them back to the shop foreman. I said, does this fit? No. I'd say, nope. Send it back to contracting. So it was that relationship that I built.
Yeah.
So think about what I just said, right? It wasn't the design. It was the relationships that I really enjoyed. And as I got farther and farther, I was a lieutenant, like I said. As I was a captain, I worked more with the shops. As I was a major, I was in charge of the shops, doing the maintenance and repair of the base. I didn't enjoy having people call me about their toilets that weren't working or their lights that weren't working. That's not what I felt as my purpose. But to be able to help the customer have the facility working right so they could do their job, helping my guys get out to do the job and be proud of what they're doing. That's what I loved. So again, I took all of that with me. Go ahead.
And you know what they call that? Impact.
Impact. That's right.
That's the most. I think impact is more important than money. I really do. When you get, look, if I need to go make money, I can do stuff, obviously legally. I know if I need to make money real quick, I got 3 or 4 things that I can do, right? But that's not the relationship. It's like the same thing with me as I'm a CPA and I do taxes for folks. I have some clients that I've done their taxes for over a decade. Their stuff hasn't changed. It's pretty straightforward. But the reason why they come back to me and the reason why I keep them, because we'll get into your business as well, but it's like you can fire clients.
Yeah.
Especially ones that don't pay.
It's hard. It's hard when you need the money.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like one of the things is that it's the relationships I've built. A lot of these people have become my friends.
Yep.
And it's not because I'm good at QuickBooks, not because I'm good with tax law and all that type of stuff. It's because they ask me about my kids. I see their kids grow. Oh, your kid has your first job. Oh, let's talk about that. Let's set them up right. So it's stuff like that. It's the impact. The money is just ancillary to the impact that you're already preparing. So I totally get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
I think that's so important that we figure those things out, right? Because the question comes back to, it goes back to that statement we talked about. It's okay to be there, but it's not okay to stay there, right? And if you're in that kind of job, what are you doing to get yourself out to the next level? Now, in today's environment, where it's okay just to quit, right? Millennials stay in jobs a couple years and they move. Now, in the Air Force, my employer for 27 years was the Air Force. But every 2 to 3 years, I was changing jobs. And I went from environmental planning to the exec officer to the readiness officer. And then I moved bases and I was the environmental guy and then the readiness guy. And I moved bases and then I was the facilities guy. And I moved bases and I was the commander, all through my life, right? So I got that change, but it was all the same employer.
Right.
Millennials who do it changing companies. And I'm not trying to criticize that. It's experimenting, finding out what they enjoy, trying things out. And hopefully you start zeroing in over time to figure that out. So I tell you, you will keep working on it. I'm 65. I can't believe I'm 65. I'm 65. And I was on a call this afternoon. I'm part of a leadership lab with the Society of American Military Engineers. You can see the banner over my shoulder.
Yeah.
And so we've all the Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, us in Texas were together, and we're taking 15 people through leadership. And we had a guest speaker today, and he was talking about how to build your purpose. And I was actually writing it down as I was walking, and I just wanted to share it. It goes from what I said earlier, which is I help leaders find the job that energizes them so they can have the life that fulfills them. And I'm playing around with more them focused than me. At Achieve New Heights, I believe everyone deserves to live their best life. We transform your world to achieve that goal.
And just so everybody knows, Achieve New Heights is Don Gleason's company based out of San Antonio, Texas. What I want to segue in is that, and we're going to put his information right on the bottom of the screen. Don Gleason, achievenewheights.com. Check it out and book your consultation. I want you to, Don, with the time that we have, I want you to give us some of the techniques that you use to help someone find their purpose. I come in, I knock on your door, I say, or I send you a call or email, say, Mr. Gleason, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I've worked at, I don't know, Google for 10 years, screwing in widgets or whatever it is. And I feel there's more to life than this. I have a decent salary, but I don't feel my purpose. Can you help me, Mr. Gleason? What would be the first? You don't have to reveal all the secrets.
Sure.
But what are some of the techniques that you would use to help that individual?
So I'm going to draw an analogy back to a doctor that treated me for cramps in my calves. So, in the Air Force, you're always running, not just between jobs, but you run every day, 30, 40 minutes just to stay in shape, for the run test, all these kind of things. And you're doing push-ups, sit-ups, all these things. So I made major, and I was struggling for about 2 or 3 years with cramps. And I went to one doctor, and he says, I don't think you're drinking enough water. Drink more water. Sent me out the door. So I started drinking all kinds of water. Didn't change. So I came back, and he goes, you're not getting enough potassium. Eat more bananas. And he sent me out the door. That was all of it. So I finally, when I was retiring as a colonel, I went to Walter Reed, and I met a gentleman. I cannot remember the name of the doctor that he was, but he looks at the body as a system. And what we did is we sat for 30 minutes, and he just talked. And he said, okay, now lay down on the couch. And as soon as he did, he just kind of felt down my calf, and he goes, here's the problem. This is what I thought it was. He says, this strand of muscle is all calcified. We have to break that up. So we started using ultrasound. We started using deep tissue massages, and it broke up that. And I haven't had cramps since. That was 25 years ago, right? So I do kind of the same thing. It's about having a conversation. So let's sit down and talk about what have you had gone through? What's your situation? Why are you not enjoying what you're not enjoying? What kind of things do you want to do? Now, most people don't know. So we go back to, well, tell me a little bit about your skill set. Tell me about the interests you really have. Let's go back to high school. Let's go back to college. Let's go back to your assignments. What things have you really enjoyed doing? And then I'll do some personality stuff with them. I'm always kind of analyzing them, but I'll give them the DISC assessment and to see what kind of personality they are, because that assessment comes out in like 30 pages of details about who they are, why they do, what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy. And we dig deeper into that. So by the time they're done, they really have a good feeling. And the last assignment I give them is, okay, now let's kind of build out a life description. We're familiar with a job description, right? This is what the company wants. You're going to do this. This is the roles. These are the skills I need, all that. Well, let's figure out your life. I go back to what I said just a minute ago with my new purpose, potentially, right? I'm working on it still, is I help life transformation. I've had 3 coaches tell me recently, you really do more than help people find a job. You transform their life.
That's awesome.
Getting them out of a job they don't enjoy into a job they do. And so it's all about that process. And And when I worked with one gentleman through this program called 4Block a couple of years ago, it's for military transitioning out. We wrote the life description. And I said, this can't be just I want to work with a great company. I want to get paid well. I want you to dig into it. Here's the questions I want you to answer. And I gave him a whole bunch of questions, right? Do you want to supervise people or not? Do you want to work in an office or outside? Do you want to do business development or individual contributor? What is let's really describe it. But when you think about, I want to work 40 hours, I want you to answer the question, why? What's behind that? Well, I want to be with my kids. My kids are in high school. They're in middle school. They want to be in their activities. I want to volunteer at the church. So let's build out your life description, not just your work. Because you know what happens most of the time? We get a job without considering how it impacts our life.
True.
I'm going to turn back here and grab a book.
That is exactly
This book here called E-Myth Revisited. There's a chapter in the back and he talks, what's your primary aim? And what most people do is they take that and they say, well, this is the kind of job I want. And he's like, no. I want to know what you want in your life, right? What's important to you? Your kids, your spouse, your parents, your friends, volunteering. What is it that drives you to get that job? Now you pick the job, and how does it fit in there? Because I worked with one guy one time. He says, I want to work in the Air Force environmental program, but I want to be home at 6 o'clock so I can be with my kids who are in middle school and one's in high school. Great. So we talked about a month later. We'd been doing a bunch of stuff with his resume and stuff. And I talked to him a month later and said, hey, how's it coming? He goes, well, I got 5 job offers. I think I'm going to take this one. I said, so what is it? And he goes, well, it's not with the Air Force Energy Program. And I'm about an hour and a half away. So I'm probably not going to get home till about 8 o'clock. I said, wait, time out. Those are your 2 key things. You want to be home for your kids and you want to work in the Air Force Energy Program. Why are you going to give that up? Oh, I think this one has the best pay. So I want you to really think about this. Are you going to be happy a year from now? So we do a pacing your future exercise. And we get them to really think about what's it going to be like a year from now or 5 years from now. Think about 5 years from now when the kids are graduating high school. And I wasn't there as I promised them in my mind that I wanted to be there. They didn't see me. I've lost contact with them and now they're going to college. Are you going to be happy? It's more than just that question. And boy, that's powerful.
It is.
Well, sorry for the long answer, but
no. It wasn't long, Don. It was thorough.
Okay.
That's exactly. And I wish more people would think like that. And I wish I thought like that when I was younger. But
me too.
Yeah, I could say that I think like that now. Like not all money's good money. Is that okay. You could be making, and I think in this culture, a lot of times why people have burnout and they're not happy and they're not fulfilled in their purposes because they're chasing money and not chasing purpose.
Yep.
And when you chase purpose, certain things in life are priceless. And I think when you chase purpose, especially this being a Christian podcast, when you ask God, why am I here in this life? And you follow the plan that he has for you and have coaches like yourself to help guide, navigate, steer someone to that, you will find purpose and fulfillment in work. And I believe that the finances will come. That does not necessarily mean that you're going to be making 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, but it means that you will be, as I often say, I don't have to be rich. I just want to be comfortable. I just want bills to be paid. No bills that are turned pink, then yellow, then green because they're like past due. Able to afford a vacation. And I'm not, or money is not a huge struggle, but I still have to be a good steward of it.
Yep.
That's ultimately what I'm looking for. And I'm sure many people in this audience feel the same way.
Think about how many people are making maybe 6 figures a month and they can't take time off. They feel trapped. Their expenses have grown to where even with a 6 figure every month, they're not taking anything home. They're living paycheck to paycheck. There are tons of people that way, right? Yeah. They get the best cars. They get this huge house, a big mortgage. They're always going out to dinner, right? Their expenses are way more than their income, even though their income is incredible. And we all think, there's no way. Oh, yeah, there's ways. Remember a story with a gentleman who was parking cars in D.C. He was making $25,000, I think, I don't remember when he retired, but he was only making like $25,000, but he was getting tips. But he put 4 kids through college, had a nice, comfortable home, not big, lived kind of on the outskirts of DC, but it was DC, right?
Right.
And he retired with several $1 million.
Mm.
Because he started early saving. He used the power of compounding. He always lived within his means, right? He was fantastic at his job, so always getting nice tips. So the 25,000 was not his limit, but it kind of gives you a feel for it. And you can make it what you want. Think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I bet you've studied that.
Yes.
Yeah. Think about what we just talked about is, where does it fit when you have to work to get paid, to pay the bills, and then move forward like you are? How does that progress?
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
I always wondered why I was in the Air Force, why I kept studying Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And now here I am as a career transition coach referring back to it.
Yeah. And that's something that I learned in undergrad.
Yeah.
So, and it still holds true today. And it's like,
it's powerful.
And one of the things as well, when it comes to money, this is why you don't chase the bag, is because if you have somebody who makes $1 million a year and you say, you know what, I'm going to give you, let me raise it, 10 million a year. And I'm going to give you another $1 million. So now you make 11 million. Do you think incrementally they're going to be happier? No. And the other thing too is 10 million is what a lot of times we love to brag about what we make, but not what we keep. Just because you make $10 million, but you spend 12, I say this, you broke on a higher level. You just broke with more zeros.
But you're still just as broke.
Especially if you're doing work that is not fulfilling to you. The paycheck won't even matter anymore. Whoop, I almost dropped my laptop. But paycheck won't even matter anymore because that's why I say this. The one thing I can say, to be honest, as we're about to wrap up here, is this. Finding your purpose is more important than just chasing a bag.
That's right.
Find your purpose. Find where God wants you to be. Forget about the money right now. Do where you go, where you are told to go, and where you have people like yourself, Don, to help guide, coach. Because sometimes people don't know what they don't know. And but there are people out there that are willing to help you. Yep. Don, this was
as we're talking, if I can, as we're talking to I want to say a Christian community, but to a believing community, whatever that is, right? We'll just open it wide. Seeking that spiritual guidance is so important. And I know I always struggled with that because it wasn't on my to-do list, right? Get this done, get this done. There wasn't that prayer piece. I didn't see the connection between the prayer and something else, or studying the word and something else, until I got later on where I'm talking purpose and passion and stuff. So taking that time to back off and think, and I love bird watching with my wife. We go camping and we go bird watching. And sometimes my wife gets on me because my mind is in other places. But I'm praying to God. I'm thinking about what's happening. Yeah. What experiences have I had? What things have I heard? And, it's like when you sleep. You need 7 to 8 hours of sleep because your mind needs time to process all of that stuff that you walk through.
Yes.
And we think that we're just resting our body. No, we're letting the mind compress all that and decipher it all and lay it in. And we get more clarity when we're rested because the mind has been working and it comes up with new ideas. So I think it's so important for us to find that spiritual connection.
I agree.
Into what it is. Yeah.
I agree. Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So we got to make the main thing the main thing. And that's
make the main thing the main thing.
through God.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you one final question before we wrap up for the evening. Hey, listen, I didn't say this throughout the broadcast, but if you are enjoying our conversation with Mr. Don Gleason, please follow this channel, follow on Facebook, on YouTube, put something in the comments and let us know that you're enjoying this. Please email Don at dgleason at
should be Don DON.
DON. Sorry,
yep.
Don DON.Gleason at achievenewheights.com.
Yep.
And even just go on his website, achievenewheights.com. The company is based out of San Antonio, Texas, but he will serve you wherever you are.
Yep.
I want to ask you one final question, and that is a question that I ask many of our guests as well. And we also have, if people want to sow into to this ministry, you can on PayPal and Cash App. But here's a question I want to ask you.
Uh-huh.
Let's say, obviously, you've done a lot in your career, in your life. You've impacted many lives, and you will continue to do so. But let's say, as of today, you ever seen the movie Men in Black?
Yes.
Men in Black, the Men in Black pen where
poof,
you
lost everything.
You lose everything. Memory and, well, not your memory, but your achievements.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have is a pad of paper and a pen. And you are called to write down 3 pieces of advice that you would write down to pass on to the next generation after you die. What would those 3 things be in terms of advice we want to leave with motivational moments that we can take and put into our spirit and apply in our lives in terms of finding our purpose?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. And I don't think the answer is going to surprise you based upon the conversation we've just been having. The first one I would tell people is, if I'm writing them a note, is to find that clarity. Dig inside yourself, understand who you are, take some of the personality tests, not just to complete them, but to understand them. I always tell people, when you take that personality test and you read it, and hopefully your coach walks through you with you, don't stick it in the drawer. Keep it out. In fact, I have an item on page 4 of my DISC assessment. I said, I want you to cut that out, put it in your day timer, put it next to your computer, and every day for 2 weeks, I want you to look at it. And I want you to understand, based upon what's there, why you did what you did today, based upon the personality. So you're understanding it, right? We got to keep constantly seeking clarity on who we are and what we want to do. I think that, as we've just been talking about, that's what drives people to really do what they want to do in success. John Maxwell says, once you've tasted significance, success never satisfies, because significance is helping others. And that's where I'm at, helping others. I think the second piece is getting people to think about resilience. What happened in their life that helped them to build resilience? Like I said earlier, almost getting kicked out of officer training school on day 3. That made a huge difference for those 90 days, but it has impacted me for 42 years. I think about on my birthday in, what year was it? 2000. The best, biggest, hardest butt chewing by the commander I ever had. People down the hallway heard that. I was lieutenant colonel, and this guy was a colonel. And boy, oh boy, he was laying the law, right? We'd had a rough week as a squadron. And but boy, that taught me a lot about how to treat people, how not to treat people, how to build, performance with my people. So I had to think. So I've been building this list of stories in my life about how I gained resilience, how I move forward. And I think the third one is, think about the impact you've had. That's significance, right? So for me, the teams I've led, the people I've led, I was blessed enough to be able to go to Turkey. I was living in Germany, but I went to Turkey and then into northern Iraq to help the Kurds. This was back in Operation Provide Comfort. The Saddam had pushed the Kurds out after Desert Storm. They were up in the mountains. We went in, we helped secure them, bring them back down. And I remember, as I was leaving, seeing some of the families with no husbands but the kids, and we were helping them. And I got to go back in 2004 and help the reconstruction when we toppled Iraq and Saddam was hiding, and we started rebuilding Iraq and building their future, right? Opportunities for kids to grow and to go to school, women, girls to be able to step forward and go to college and go to high school and get an education and pursue what they were excited about, right? Think about the impact that we had doing that. Think about, am I volunteering? The Red Cross. I worked all the way up in San Antonio to the board chair and what we were doing to help people in San Antonio community and all the way down to Laredo. Right now I'm working with leukemia, lymphoma. We raised I was part of one team, but 10 of 10 teams, we raised $500,000. Wow. And we're shooting for $1 million this year. So just a lot of different things to think about. I say all those things to get people to think about the impact they had. Because what's the most common thought people will say was, I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything significant. Like heck. I cleaned that up a little bit. Like heck, you had a huge impact. Think about it. Get somebody, a mentor, a coach to help you think into those things and then live into it.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's very good. And can I give you a bonus one?
Sure.
A bonus one is every great person has at least one great coach.
Yes.
A lot of people feel that they have to do this life solo. I think it's so important that you have a coach for your career, for your family, for your finances. Mm-hmm. Nobody is an island. If churches and companies can have advisory boards and can have boards of directors, who's the board of director for you personally? Gregory Bloomfield has a board of advisors, and not just your spouse. But other people. I'm sure you have people who speak into your life to help you, guide you, that who want to see you succeed and will not be jealous of your success.
Yep. You know, it was fun. This summer, we took a 31-day camping trip, took our trailer from San Antonio all the way to Toronto and back.
Toronto, Canada?
Toronto, Canada. Back through Michigan and back. So it was 5,150 miles, I think.
That's my hometown.
Toronto?
Yeah, that's my hometown.
Is that right? Okay.
Shout out to Toronto. For everybody.
Yeah. What a beautiful city. That was so much fun. We saw the Detroit Tigers there play the Blue Jays in the center. I can't remember the name of the stadium.
Rogers Center?
Rogers Center. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I was blessed to stop in West Virginia and saw my commander from when I was a captain. And he challenged me, but boy, he took care of me. And I got to spend some time with him and say thank you. And then the deputy of that squadron, who had two commanders, that commander and another one, that deputy and I had become good friends. Not only were we good beer drinking buddies, went down to Munich to the Oktoberfest and other stuff, but he mentored me. And his wife mentored my wife about being a military spouse. His wife, he was civilian. She had never been military, but she had been around enough. People knew what it takes to be a military spouse. Nice. So we went to Pittsburgh and we said thank you to them. And they're all getting up in age, right? I'm 65, they're 75, 78. So we only have so much time left. And I just thought it was a blessing to be able to go and stop and see them and say thank you. I actually talked to another young lady who had been a mentor to me. She was just about 4 or 5 years older. She was outside of Pittsburgh, but we stopped with them for a day. So it was kind of my thank you to her, right? Nice. But they were my mentors. And like you're right, I got other mentors today, people who are willing to speak into me. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
You're right. Awesome. That's just such a great comment right there.
One quick thing before we head out is this. Have you ever seen the movie The Forge?
You're the third person to tell me, and I have not seen it, but I think I've got it on Netflix. I'm going to get it. I'm going to watch it.
I'm going to really, really, really encourage you and the audience, especially if you're a man, watch The Forge.
Okay.
Watch the Forge. Watch the Forge and then text me and then tell me your thoughts. We may have to do part 2 of this where we break down the whole movie. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. We're here with Don Gleason. This was such an honor to have you on the Motivational Stage. You are officially, listen, a lot of times we say after 2 episodes you become a friend of the show. You got a express pass. You are now officially a friend of the Motivation Moments podcast.
Oh, I'm so honored to be a member, and I appreciate the opportunity and to be able to sit here and talk about this kind of stuff that I'm so passionate about, and I can see you are as well. It's such a blessing. So thank you. Awesome. Every time I do one of these, I learn more and more about myself, right? So I'm just as blessed on these, and I hope everybody else is as well.
Awesome. If you were blessed today, please let us know. The best thing that you could do for us is to subscribe to the channel, Facebook, YouTube, or on Instagram. If you're watching on LinkedIn, please follow us. Please get involved and get to know more about this great company, Achieve New Heights. And if you feel so impressed to help fund this podcast, please do so with our Cash App and PayPal. The information will be put below. So that way, any amount will help, whether it's $5, $50, $10, whatever. We're soon going to be looking at advertisers and sponsors for this podcast. So we're going to be looking into that as well. So before we close out, I want to let you know about our episode on Sunday. On Sunday, we're going to, if you need help preparing a budget, because listen, if you find your purpose, you want to get money, you better know how to manage your money. We have Miss Julian Colbrand. Julie have to fix the flag. Julian Colbrand. She is the budget master, the budget nerd, and she's out of Washington State. She's going to help us with budgets and what we should do to prioritize a budget. And then a week from today, we are going to have a motivational teaching from myself. And yes, here's the new flyer, Julian Colbrand. Yes. So that'll be this coming Sunday. And then on Thursday, we'll have a motivation teaching from myself. And then, forgetting the flyers mixed up. But anyway, the Sunday, we're going to hear from my friend Craig Campbell, who has started a brand new company. And we're going to talk about his journey from working as an employee to a entrepreneur. So we're going to hear about that as well. So listen, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Gregory Bloomfield. This is Don Gleason from Achieve New Heights. God bless you. And remember, be encouraged, be inspired, and be motivated. God bless you. Have a wonderful night.